Meet LaTarsha Brown. She's a political activist from Allentown, Pennsylvania. And if there's one thing that LaTarsha Brown hates, it's someone who ignites conflicts, especially when they disguise their intent by adopting a victim narrative to manipulate perceptions. Who is LaTarsha Brown, you might ask? Well, if you knew anything about social justice at all, you'd know that she is, well, let me read this. Today we highlight Ms. LaTarsha Brown. Ms. Brown has served on the board since 2021. We're talking about the school board in Allentown, and is deeply committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion, of course. She is the chair of the Legislative Committee, a member of the Education Committee, and represents Allentown on the Pennsylvania School Boards Association. Whoa, what a pillar of the community. Last year, Ms. Brown was named a Social Justice Ambassador for the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission. She's also the proud parent of 2 Deerhuff High School graduates and is a passionate advocate for all students. Well, Social Justice Ambassador LaTarsha Brown must be an avid viewer of Rashad Toody Richey's channel on the Young Turks. She decided that denouncing hate crime wasn't enough. Being a victim of a hate crime was where the real action is. So she staged a Jussie and got herself into a lot of trouble. And the whole thing is quite comical. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With cold, blunt analysis cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's time for the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
So what's the fuss all about? Let's hear from CBS News in Philadelphia. And I'm warning you that the over-the-top reaction is a sight to behold. Try not to laugh. And you might think, well, why would I laugh? Well, you'll see a bit later.
Well, as we know, dozens of folks voiced outrage in front of Allentown City Hall today. This is an investigation that is continuing into an item resembling a noose that was reportedly found on a city employee's desk. And our Nikki Dementri is got the latest now. She's in Lehigh County with reaction from the city and community leaders about this investigation.
When Black lives are under attack, what do?
Stand up and roar? Okay.
Call for action and fight for change.
We will not be silenced.
No one will ever accuse you of that, I can assure you.
Community members and leaders made their voices heard in front of Allentown City Hall Monday afternoon.
Just to think that people have to go to work in fear for their lives.
Since
In fear of their lives, huh? Okay, sure.
Friday, Allentown police continue to investigate an item resembling a noose found on a city employee's desk.
This egregious act is not just an affront to one individual, but it is an attack on the entire community.
Let me translate that for you. Forget LaTarsha Brown. I want to be a victim too. That's what that means. This is an attack on just her. No, I've been attacked too. Say my name. Say my name.
Several spoke during a rally, calling for transparency, prevention, and an immediate federal investigation among a list of demands. This incident, community members note, is not the first racial discrimination issue City Hall has dealt with. Josie Lopez is a close friend of the victim.
They're always a community leader, always pushing for equality. They might be bruised right now, but they are not broken.
Meet white savior Dingaling. Bruised from what? Tell me what would have bruised them. Wait until you see the noose. We'll ask how much bruising it could have inflicted. Okay, so let's move over to updates in this sordid story and get ready for some real hilarity. So what we have here is a press conference by the Allentown Police Department, and they have major breaking news for us. They found the culprit. Gee, I wonder who that would be.
The Allentown Police Department conducted a thorough investigation including interviews of persons, analysis of evidence, and consultation with the District Attorney's Office of Lehigh County. As a result of the subsequent investigation, LaTarsha Brown was charged with tampering with or fabricating physical evidence, a misdemeanor of the 2nd degree, and false reports to law enforcement, a misdemeanor of the 3rd degree.
Wait, they're pinning this on LaTarsha? Oh, I can't believe this.
As in every criminal case, the fact that a warrant has been issued or a complaint has been filed is merely an accusation. The defendant is presumed innocent until and unless proven guilty in a court of law. I'm now going to ask Captain Milkovich to provide a summation of this investigation.
Good afternoon, everybody. Captain Milkovich, Criminal Investigations Division. On January 10, 2025, at approximately 7:11 a.m., Allentown City employee LaTarsha Brown arrived at her office on the 3rd floor of City Hall. At approximately 7:38 a.m., Ms. Brown notified the Allentown Police Department that she discovered what she believed to be a noose on her desk upon arriving at work. Officers assigned to the Community Outreach Unit, Crime Scene Identification Unit, and Criminal Investigations Unit responded.
Wait, the FBI didn't mobilize its Panzer SS Bubba Wallace division to investigate this? And you just know some poor bastard's murder isn't being investigated because of a lack of resources.
Yeah, I get that your son was an honor student enrolled as a biomedical student at Slippery Rock, getting married next week and had his life in front of him, and someone gunned him down, yada, yada, yada. We have a noose on a desk to investigate.
Initiating a criminal investigation to identify the individual responsible for placing the noose on Ms. Brown's desk. During the investigation, video surveillance and building access control records were reviewed to identify city employees present on the 3rd floor of City Hall between the time Ms. Brown left for work on the afternoon of January 9, 2025, and her arrival on the morning of January 10th. Those employees were interviewed. Each was asked if they would provide a buccal swab for DNA testing if needed. Every employee agreed, except for Ms. Brown. Initially cooperative, Ms. Brown later requested that the investigation be discontinued.
We call that a clue. This has gone on long enough. I don't want to make a big deal out of this.
The noose was submitted to the Pennsylvania State Police Crime Lab for DNA testing on January 14, 2025. On January 24, 2025, a search warrant was approved by the Lehigh County District Attorney's Office for Ms. Brown's DNA, and a DNA sample was obtained that same day. On January 27, 2025, Ms. Brown's buccal swab was submitted to the Bethlehem Regional Crime Lab of the Pennsylvania State Police for comparison with DNA profiles recovered from the noose. On March 10, 2025, the Forensic DNA Division of the Pennsylvania State Police issued a written report indicating that Ms. Brown's DNA matched the DNA profile obtained from the swabs of both the outer surface and inner knotted portion of the noose after it was taken apart. No other person's DNA profiles found on the evidentiary items involved in this investigation.
Wow, that's some pretty hefty investigation. Well done. They didn't miss much. They even took the rope apart to swab areas that a person wouldn't have touched unless they actually tied the noose. And they did swabs of everybody in the office. No stone unturned. Now, if someone broke into your home, they could lick every utensil in your kitchen and even pee on your carpet, and you think the cops will pull out their detective kits? Well, they probably left fingerprints. Why don't you dust for prints? The cop will tell you,
Dude, dust for prints. Get a load of this guy. That only happens on TV.
Now, how do I know this? Because it happened to me back in 1998 when I was living in California's Central Valley. Hey, Fresno Police Department, you. Now, if I was black, I'd just lay a noose under my seat cushion and tell the cops, look what I found. The burglars must be sending me a message. They'd have every detective on the case, as well as the FBI and probably even the CIA. For those who claim
the real sad part of this is how it will affect future victims of hate crimes. If we suffer a real hate crime, no one will believe us.
No, that's not the real sad part of this. Quit thinking about yourselves for a moment and think about the true victims in this case. No, the real sad part is how innocent people involved in this incident can end up going to jail over this crap. If the cops hadn't cleared this up, everyone would have been wondering who did it. Sooner or later, they begin pointing fingers at each other. old Bert doesn't get the promotion because,
well, I can't help but think that he was involved somehow. He must have been the one.
oh, guess who gets the promotion instead of Bert? Want to guess? That is the real shame in this. I wish the cops had played it up that they had arrested someone for the offense. We have someone in custody. He hasn't confessed yet, but we're leaning on him. He's the only one that could have done it. We've cleared everyone else. Then you could have one of the office workers play along. Here's a video recording of the interrogation. It's hard to believe that such a racist pig even exists.
No, please, you gotta believe me. I didn't do any such thing. I like LaTarsha.
Don't give us that crap. It could have only been you. Terrorist threats. You know what they do to white supremacists in prison?
No, I don't want to go to prison. What about my wife, my kids?
I wonder what Social Justice Ambassador LaTarsha would have done then. What do you think? Would she have said,
Look, I can't see an innocent man go to prison, but I did it. I'm sorry. I did it because Rashad Richey convinced me that I'm a true victim of society. I just wanted to see a few protests and rallies for me and perhaps set up a GoFundMe. But this has gone further than I expected.
or do you think she would have said,
Glad they got the racist bastard. May he rot in hell.
you might think that such theatrics would play no role in their investigation, but whether or not she would have sent an innocent man to jail would play a huge role in her sentencing. I, for one, would wish that law enforcement wouldn't act as if they have the Brinks robbery on their plate. It was a noose on a desk. Big deal. And I bet you're itching to see the noose. Well, here it is. Yeah, that's her keyboard on the bottom. The noose is about 2 inches long. It doesn't even look like it's properly tied, probably because she didn't know how to tie a noose. If I'm the cop, I'm saying, you dragged my ass out of Dunkin' Donuts, our investigation of that Slippery Rock student's murder to investigate this? Now, if someone had left a note, I'm going to kill you. If that's what they did and she was white, do you think they would have poured this much effort into solving it? And you might think, this could be a serious threat. No, it's not. If someone really wanted to hurt her because she's black, they're not going to warn her using a corny message like a noose. They'd just do it. In the last 50 years, how many instances can you conjure where a noose was used to signal an impending assault followed by an actual assault? Keep in mind that a noose is not even a clear threat. Even if someone had done it, what are you going to do? The charges are going to get dropped because you can't prove intent. So all these resources expended for what? So you may be wondering, well, what do Allentown officials think about this? Let's find out.
I can't possibly comment on what might have motivated her to do something like this. I pray for her,
said Allentown Mayor Matt Twerk.
I feel sorry for her, and I believe that she certainly has some issues that she's going to have to deal with,
said City Council President Daryl Hendricks. With an ongoing investigation into City Hall about a culture of discrimination in the workplace, I wonder who's been spreading that around. We asked Hendricks if this changes things for him. Does this cast in your mind any doubt on previous allegations of discrimination in City Hall that have been made by other employees? Said reporter Rob Manch.
It absolutely does,
said Hendricks.
I do not believe that there is any racial animosity among the employees of this city.
Well, except for one.
And that is not widespread whatsoever, and I believe that the investigation results will bear that out.
So, LaTarsha Brown is the victim. We need to feel sorry for her. We need to pray for her. As for the other people on the city council, well, screw them. Like my video and subscribe to my channel.